And I want to read beginning at verse number 21, Mark chapter 5, beginning at verse number 21. It's a story within a story. It's an event within an event. The story begins in verse number 22. Jesus had passed over again by ship to the other side. Much people gathered unto him, and he was nigh unto the sea. And behold, there cometh one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name, and when he saw him, he fell at his feet. That's a good way to approach the Lord. He fell at his feet and besought him greatly. We've studied that word besought. It means that he begged him and he kept on begging. He besought him greatly, saying, My little daughter lieth at the point of death. I pray thee, come and lay thy hands on her, that she may be healed, and she shall live. And Jesus went with him, and much people followed him and thronged him. Now that's the beginning of one story. The next verse is the insertion of the second story in the middle of the first story. The Bible said, a certain woman which had an issue of blood 12 years, and had suffered many things of many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was nothing bettered, but rather grew worse, when she had heard of Jesus, came in the press behind and touched his garment. For she said, If I may touch but his clothes, I shall be whole. And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that virtue had gone out of him, turned him about in the press and said, Who touched my clothes? And his disciples said unto him, Thou seest the multitude thronging thee, and sayest thou, Who touched thee? Who touched me? And he looked round about to see her that had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, and knowing what was done in her, came and fell down before him, and told him all the truth. And he said unto her, Daughter, thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace, and be whole of thy plague. Now here's the other story again. While he yet spake, there came from the ruler of the synagogue's house certain which said, Thy daughter is dead. Why troublest thou the master any further? As soon as Jesus heard the word that was spoken, he saith unto the ruler of the synagogue, Be not afraid, only believe. I want to stop reading right there, because there is a wonderful story here about a man who had a position in the synagogue, part of the ruling body of the Jewish nation, man who had substance, a man who had position, a man who had power, and came to Jesus and said, Come lay your hands on my daughter. I'd like to remark here that he was going against a popular opinion. He was going against a trend, and the other folks that he was in league with in the synagogue probably would have mocked him and ridiculed him and made fun of him for doing what he did. But he risked his position. He risked his prominence. He risked that place that he had in society by coming to Jesus and saying, Come to my house and lay your hand on my daughter. Now the end of that story is, before they got to the house, there came people and telling the man, Don't bother Jesus anymore, because your daughter is dead. I just tell you that when the circumstances get to the point where everybody else gives up hope, there's still hope in Jesus. there is hope beyond. And you know, we talk about miracles a lot of times. We talk about people who have what is called terminal cancer, and they'll go to the doctors and they'll receive treatments, and finally they'll fight it off and they'll come back. And we want to say, well, that's a miracle of God. Well, I'm thankful for that knowledge that doctors have. But the real miracle is when people cannot be healed and they come before God, and God by His power instantly heals them. That is a miracle. And so when we're looking to Jesus, we're looking to one who is involved in the miracle working business. He goes above and beyond when doctors have shaken their head, and in this case when the coroner has come by and made the pronouncement, and when the neighbors are coming to meet this man and telling him, you don't need to bother the master anymore, just go your way, let him go his way, and come on home, and let's mourn with these mourners that have come in, and let's cry and get our grief out, and then prepare for a funeral here of this young girl. It's your beloved daughter. But Jesus said, wait just a minute. She may have died, but I'm not finished yet. And I want to tell you today, you may be in a difficult place. You may be in a situation where man has given up. You may have thrown your hands up in despair and said, there's no hope. It's all said and done. But I want you to take one more look at Jesus. I want you to hear Him say to you one more time, just believe. Don't be downcast. Just keep looking to me. I go beyond what man can do. I go beyond what's expected. I'm still coming to the house. I'm still going in that daughter's room. I'm still going to perform a miracle. I'm still going to get in your situation. I'm still going to turn things around that you think can't be turned around, can't be fixed. That's the story. Jesus went in, and I'll just read it to you for the sake of having the fullness of it. Jesus would not allow anybody to follow Him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. And He comes to the house. He's already dispelled the crowd. Y'all go away, I don't need you. I don't need your curiosity. I don't need your unbelief. I don't believe I don't need your speculation as to whether or not this is going to happen. Peter, James, and John, you've been with me. You've seen the miracles. You don't have to doubt. Come with me. And he cometh to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, and seeth the tumult, and them that wept and wailed greatly. And when he was come in, he saith unto them, why make ye this ado, and weep? The damsel is not dead, but sleepeth. And they laughed him to scorn. But he put them out. I just, sometimes I'll be looking at something and a thought will just run through my mind. I'm going to give it to you fresh today. These mourners were professional mourners that came in, and they wailed, and they were there to help the family to get the grief out. Just get it up and get it out. Go ahead and cry. Don't bottle it up. And he said, why are you making this fuss? She's just asleep. And they laughed him to scorn. They made fun of him. That who in the world does he think he is? What in the world does he think he's going to do? And I love this. It said, and he put them out. Now, I'm going to just go ahead and tell you, you may be in some difficult circumstances, and there are some people in your life that you need to put out, because they're telling you it's not going to get better. There's no help for you, no hope for you. I've seen this before, and it's worked out this way. There are some people that you need to put out. You need to quit listening to them. You need to just say, I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear your negativity. I don't want to hear your doubt. I don't want to hear your unbelief. I don't want to hear anything you've got to say. I want to hear from God. He put them out. Now I don't know, but that's just some good advice. Whether you realize it or not, the devil is working. And the devil speaks to people. Now he may be wearing somebody else's dress or breeches, but the voice is his. The doubt is his. The negativity is his. It's a spirit that's come to drag you down and to destroy your faith and to depress you. Put them out. Somebody said, but they're kinfolks. Well, they can't help you. If they can't join with you in faith, you need to say, I love you. And I'm glad to have fellowship with you, but I don't want to talk about my problem with you because you don't have any answers. You don't have anything but doubt and fear. And I'm going to talk to God. I'm going to listen to Him. Put them out. And Jesus put them out. Lord, help me today. I didn't mean to preach this long, but I'm going to. He put them all. The 40th verse. Let me read that again. And they laughed him to scorn. But when he had put them all out, all the doubters, all the skeptics, all the scornful, all of those that were laughing, making fun, mocking, he put them out. And he took the father and the mother of the damsel and them that were with him, that's Peter, James, and John, and entereth in where the damsel was lying. And he took the damsel by the hand and said unto her, Talitha cumi, which is being interpreted, damsel, I say unto thee, arise, and straightway. I like those words, don't you? Straightway. The damsel arose and walked, for she was of the age of 12 years. And they were astonished with great astonishment. Now that's the story in the middle of this. This is what I was going to talk about in the beginning, but this other just got a hold of me a little bit. But in the middle of this, on the way to Jairus' house, there's a woman. She is ignored. She is ostracized. She has a condition that is supposed to keep her away from other people until that condition is cleared up. And it didn't clear up. And it didn't clear up for 12 years. And verse 26 said she'd suffered many things of many physicians, spent all she had, nothing bettered, but rather grew worse. And this verse in number 27 said, when she had heard of Jesus, came in the press behind and touched his garment. Now here's what I want just to leave with you today. There's sometimes in these difficulties of life that we feel abandoned. We feel helpless. We feel hopeless. And we're back here somewhere on the back of the crowd, and somewhere in the midst of this press of people is the answer that we've got, but we just somehow or another can't get to it because we've been pushed aside. We've been segregated off to ourselves. We have been ruled as someone that is not helpable, no help is available. But I want you to do like this woman. When you feel like you have exhausted all human resources, and when you feel like there's nobody around that cares. I mean, who cares about this woman dragging along behind the back end of the crowd? But something happened in her. She said, if I can just get close enough to touch the hem of his garment, I'm not going to let this opportunity pass. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be out in public. I have exhausted myself. My body is weak, and my money is gone, and I've got no hope, and I got no help, and I've got nobody that cares. And it seemed like everybody else is around Jesus, and that's exactly where I need to be. And she started pushing her way through. If I can just touch the hem of his garment. I want to tell you today, before you leave this place, regardless of how severe, how difficult, how many people have written your situation off, how despondent you may be, how you may have been filled with doubt and fear and said there's no help and there's no hope. In these cases, in this passage of Scripture, both of them hopeless cases, and one of them had already stepped over the line into that place beyond death. It still was not so far that the master could not reach and pull that girl back into life, and she got up and walked, and he took her by the hand. That woman that pressed through, she wasn't able to make her request known. She wasn't able to call the crowd to a halt. She wasn't able to stop the movement of that procession, but she pressed through, and she said, all I need to do is touch the hem of his garment. I want to tell you this, my prayer today for this service today was, oh God, there's nothing I know how to do. There's nothing I can do. I can't make things happen. But God, if you'll just show up, if you'll just come down, if you'll just manifest yourself, if we can just touch you, everything's going to be all right. And I know that sounds like a big order for some of the things that maybe some folks are going through. But nevertheless, there's no limits on what he can do. No limits on his power. And your situation may have already reached a critical stage. But when he walks into it, there's another story to be written. There's another testimony to be given. There is more to the story than just the place you are now. In every good book, there is a beginning. There is a story, and many times it's a story of difficulty. And then there's an ending. In most good books, the ending is something good. I remember a time when there were these Christian romance novels that were popular. People would give Kay a stack of books like this, Well, they don't appeal to me. They appeal to women folk and romantically minded folks, But I picked up a few of them and kind of read the beginning and just kind of skim through it and get over to the back. And going through it, there's all kind of problems, all kind of difficulties, everything going wrong. But you get back to the back, and everything just seems to resolve itself and come together. And the man and the woman that were intended to be together all the time, in spite of all the trials and tribulations, finally at the end of the story, they wind up and everything's fine. Well, I got to tell you something. That's the way a good story is written. And that's the way this one's written. I may be going through things now that I don't understand. It may seem that the Lord's in the middle of the crowd and I'm back here on the back. May seem like I can't hardly get to him for all that's in the way. But I got to tell you, I've got faith in how the story ends. Let me just close with this. Your story is not completely written yet. Final chapter is not written. And somebody said, what if it doesn't happen? Well, in the economy of God, there's justice. In this world, there's some justice, but not always. Wicked prosper. That's not justice. Evil men gain wealth and power. That's not justice. And justice is not always attained to in this world. But you hear me? One step over into glory. And it won't matter what you've gone through here. It's all going to be all right. And you look back and say, if I had it to do 1,000 times over, I'd do it again. I'm trying to close here, but I'm trying to reach out here and get a hold of your heart and encourage you and lift you up. Kay and I were talking, and one of the young men, when I was a boy going to church, one of the young men that was in the Navy, we had a lot of Navy people come to our church because of the naval bases in town. He was from Oklahoma. He was a good Christian young man and came to the church like a lot of others and found him a good Christian woman. And they've been married for 60 years now. And tomorrow, his brother-in-law, that's my age, that we grew up together, is going to conduct his funeral. He's gone. His wife is blind. And we got to talking, and I said, one of my mentors from many years ago is gone. I named him. I named another one that was part of my life for most of my life. He's gone. And I named another one that was a connection to one of those that it was a daughter of one of my mentors, and she was my connection to him. She's gone. And one by one. And the thought came to me, and it wasn't something that I was entertaining in my mind. It was just, it came to me this way. God, couldn't you have come up with a better plan than this? Where people die and those that remain grieve, those that remain are in sorrow and heartbreak. Couldn't you have come up with a better plan than to cause our landscape to be dotted with tombstones and graves by the multiplied millions? Couldn't you? And it almost seemed like this. God said, I could have let you live forever. I could have let you continue on in a world that is cursed by the curse of sin. I could have let you live on, never dying in a world that knew thorns and thistles and sorrow and sadness and difficulty and pain and suffering, and a world that knew heart disease and cancer. I could have let you live on. But my plan is better than that. My plan is to let you live here in preparation for an eternity where there is an absence of sadness and sorrow and pain and gloom and despair. None of that will be in the place that I've prepared. And I had to say, Lord, that's a better plan. That's a better plan than to leave us here in sadness and sorrow and gloom. I don't know where that fits into what I've tried to preach today. I don't know that it fits in anywhere at all. But it just reinforces what I want to share with you today. Regardless of where you are, just trust God. Just trust God. And understand that your story is not finished. It'll be either a victorious chapter in the end of the book here, or the last chapter will be written when you step across the threshold of glory and into the presence of a God who's waiting for you. Trust Him. Stand with me if you will.
If I could but touch
While she sings, would you gather with me around the front? Come on.
the hem of